What's up, everyone? We have the patch notes for TFT 13.20. This one is going to be a very sizable patch. So I think the world qualifiers are coming up, and the game is not quite in that like stable state that it usually reaches quite yet. There's been a lot of wacky stuff going on, and they finally are going to be nerfing Xayah, because we had like 2 weeks of Xayah. We're going to be getting rid of that. We had like 2 weeks of re-rolling too. But for the summary, and we'll get into all the changes in just a bit, along with my input on it, we have Bilgewater, Zon, Strategist, and Shurima being the traits buffed right now. Darius, Gangplank, Orianna, Talia, Milio, Karma, Rek'Sai, and Nautilus, the champions. I'm really hoping for some Darius being back in action, because been a little lacking lately. Vertical Shurima, I'm hoping it's that. We'll see what happens. And then they're adjusting 10 augments. I think some of them were bugged before. And then they're nerfing Rogue, thank God. Ionia, thank God. Vanquisher, thank God. Xayah, thank God. Cassiopeia, thank God. Graves, thank God. Ashe, thank God. And Soraka. Okay, so lots of different things are happening. Is it going to be an over nerf? Because I'm looking over here at these three things, Ionia, Vanquisher, and Xayah being nerfed. Is that too much? We'll have to see what the actual numbers are. Rogue and Graves also getting the double trouble treatment. Oh, also Ashe for Vanquishers. And then they're nerfing 5 augments, Guardbreaker, adjusting Cho'Gath, Aatrox, Adaptive Helm, and reworking multicasters. Yeah, they've seen better days, you know. Sona also getting a rework, and Fiora again the rework. Okay, so they're reworking Fiora 2 times in a row. So for fun patch changes. So for normal mode, normal TFT, I'm not sure how many viewers play normals, how many play ranked, but they're introducing portals remastered. So in normal games, you get like wild portals. So Beats by Scuttle, you get Scuttle Puddle plus Jace's Workshop. There's just like tons of different portal combinations you can kind of get into. And there's like a full list here if you want to check it out. I'll leave the patch notes down in the description below in case you want to check that out on your own. But lots of wild combinations, as you all can see. Cosmetics Fluffed of the Poros. Legends say this Fluffed heralds the Poro Ragnarok. Fluffed of Poros has their own finisher animation, starring an avalanche of cuddly Poros, which is perhaps the best way to receive the news of getting 8th place. Okay, wow. That actually sounds pretty decent. You know, I don't normally get excited about cosmetics. This one might be different. So that's going to be available through the Mythic Tactician Fluffed of Poros, which will be available as star content via Treasure Realms until the end of patch 13.21. So I think we have like a month to get it, and there will be variants as well. So let's get into some of the UI changes. Team Planner reminders. We're introducing a new feature to enhance Team Planner and your rolldowns. As a reminder, you can adjust your Team Planner loadout on the fly. Plan your team comp in Team Planner, then turn on in-game reminders to see your selected champions marked in the shop. Oh, that actually would be really useful. Oh, so I'm guessing they get that little glowy animation. You know how sometimes when you own a champion, they glow in the shop? Maybe they add that for all the things in the Team Planner as well. That's actually a pretty good change. But they have to fix one thing. Your Team Planner stays the same when you go into the next game. So if it resets every game, they probably should do that. If not, then it's kind of weird, because you could be setting up a team comp for Xayah in the first game, and then a new patch hits, you're playing Azir all of a sudden, but then all the Xayah units are shining. That could be annoying, and you don't know why. It's probably going to be in your shop. Large changes, large like my love for Fluffed of Poros. Okay, so let's go into the traits first. Bilgewater 3, unchanged, but here for reference. Bilgewater 5, damage 150 plus 55% is being changed to 170 plus 60% damage dealt. Bilgewater 7, unchanged, but here for reference. So they're just buffing 5 Bilgewater. Yeah, we were talking about Bilgewater in the previous patch. We were asking whether the buffs they got before were going to be enough. Turns out not enough. Is this one enough? This one isn't like that big of a change. I guess Bilgewater 5 is the more popular version, but I'm pretty sure you want 7 when you go Bilgewater. So I guess the mid game will be slightly better. It definitely does help, but maybe the late game is kind of the same. I guess like you have the cap out of a higher Bilgewater 9, but that's very rare, so I wouldn't really count on that. Reworking Multicaster 2 and 4 to 2, 3, 4. They should have done this ages ago, actually, because it just feels really weird playing them. So Multicaster 2, cast 1 additional time at 55% reduced effectiveness. Multicaster 3, 30%. Multicaster 4, 20%. And Multicaster attacks grant 5 bonus mana. Okay, we'll have to see how that actually plays out. But hopefully it should bring them more life, because the 2, 3, 4 is definitely a ton easier to play around. Ionia Emblem bonus attack speed being changed from 33 to 25%. So that directly nerfs stuff like Ashe reroll. Rogue bleed damage 60 to 55. Shurima Ascension bonus is being buffed up at, I think that's 4, 6, and 9 Shurima Vanquisher bonus crit chance is being reduced at 6 Vanquisher. Okay, so the nerfs of Vanquisher and Ionia are actually very, very minor, which is something to keep in mind there. So remember how I said in the beginning, there are going to be a ton of changes to that comp and like don't over nerf it. So far, very minor nerfs. I don't think it's enough. We'll have to see the Xayah changes to really make a good call on that. Zon, Adaptive Implant, AP, AD, and Omnivamp 30 to 35%. Shimmer Scale, Injector, Overcharged Heal 80 to 100%. Virulent Bioware, Overcharged Damage over time is being buffed up as well. Unstable Chem Tank, HP bonus up 30 to 40. And then Robotic Arm, Overcharge, Bug Fix, now deals pre-medication true damage. This is a buff. I'm glad that they included that so we don't have to use our brains. But they are buffing the overcharged ones a bit, so I think that's at 4 Zon. That's when you see the benefits of that. And then a couple of the other ones, just minor changes there. Units tier 1, Cho'Gath Feast on Kill is being changed to a flat 35. Okay, that makes it less snowbally. I actually like that change a lot, so you're not like too scared of not being able to farm enough when he's a little weaker. But then if you like super high roll, you're not getting like too strong or like even stronger than you should. That's actually like very nice change. Is it still going to be good? Probably, because I don't see any other stuff being changed quite yet for that comp. Actually, Cassio got hit. Well, we'll read about that later, because Cassio was in the list, but I don't see Cassiopeia here. Graves Smoke Grenade damage is being, let's see, nerfed a little bit at all levels. Yeah, Graves reroll pretty strong. It was one of the like more interesting comps we've seen recently. Orianna attack speed being buffed up, Orianna attack damage being nerfed, Orianna max mana buff, so they're making Orianna cast faster, but also lowering her attack damage so she isn't like too strong in the early game. Pretty good changes there. Orianna's always been kind of forgotten about. It's like that little toy you played with as a kid, and then you just left it in some cabinet and then never saw it again until you cleaned out your room when you moved out or something like that. All right, so next one we have 2 costs. Talia Seismic Shove damage is being buffed up pretty much across the board. You know, because they added Nautilus, I'm very surprised we have not seen Talia really shine, because there's just more knockup effects, and Nautilus is a juggernaut. So Talia, Set, and Nautilus is just like a really good 3-unit combo that I wish we could see more of. Seismic Shove, passive boulder damage is being buffed up as well. Okay. Set, max mana nerf. Set, Ionia bonus health is being nerfed as well. We don't see Ash yet. Probably going to happen in the small changes like with the Cassiopeia. Units tier 3. All right, Darius, Noxus, Guillotine, AD ratio is being buffed up by 50%. That should make him a little more beefy. Put some AD on him and he should be smacking people a lot. Nautilus max mana buff. Nautilus resistance amplification buffed as well. Nautilus is, I think he's generally like a good unit, but I feel like that a lot of the comps he fits in aren't that great. But now we have 2 Bilgewater buffs. We have the Nautilus buff plus the 5 trait buff. I think that's going to be pretty solid for them. Both of them are mid-game buffs. So they must have identified that in the mid-game, Bilgewater was perhaps losing a lot of fights, so now hopefully you should be able to win a few more. Rek'Sai's bite marker will now persist until the end of combat instead of being consumed. Rek'Sai Furious bite AD ratio nerfed across the board. Rek'Sai bite true damage is being increased to compensate, so it's a bit of a mix and match there. Reworked Sona's ability now deals 33% less damage to each unit hit. Crescendo attack speed is being nerfed as well. But Crescendo will always hit allies on her left and right. You now do not have to awkwardly position your carries in front of her. Very good change. Damage being buffed up. So less utility, more damage. That's going to be pretty good. Starting mana buff is also very welcome. As actually, no, this is starting mana nerf. 40 out of 90 to 35 out of 90. Okay. So either this is a typo or this is a typo. We'll have to see. I assume they'll change this later on to fix this, and I'll update this hopefully in my meta snapshot on Friday. So definitely subscribe below if you are not already to get notifications for that, where we go over the best comps to play in each of the patches every single Friday. So definitely look out for that. Been doing that for around like 3 or 4 years now. It's definitely the longest standing player made tier list out there right now. Aphelios 60 to 65 AD. Fiora rework is no longer untargetable during Blade Waltz and now takes 30% less damage while waltzing instead. Max mana buff to compensate for that, and the AD ratio is being bumped up a bit. Okay, so it's a little less like 1v9-ish. It's going to be a lot harder to pull those off now, because if they could target her during that time, then like she could potentially die while she's 1v9ing. She's no longer doing 9 1v1s. She's actually 1v9ing. All right, units tier 5. Let's see. Aatrox. Wait, they didn't mention Xayah. Okay. How are all those champions in the small changes? They feel like they should be in the big changes. But units tier 5, Aatrox Darkened bonus health is being changed from 350 to 250. Aatrox armor and MR 60 to 70. So less health, more armor MR. Let's see what they wrote up here. Darkened has always been a great trait, but Aatrox has hardly been able to carry the reputation of his passive trait, let alone his team. We're shifting some of the power from the Darkened buff into Aatrox to create a world where Aatrox can be your carry and not just your world ender. They could have done maybe like game ender or something like that. I'm actually disappointed. Normally they're on top of the like pun stuff, you know? All right, so world ender AD ratio. 275 to 290, 275 to 300, and then 25. If you ever get Aatrox 3, I guess you do a ton of stuff. But yeah, the Darken bonus is less, but Aatrox is a little stronger, and then obviously should be smacking a little harder with this thing. I thought he did smack pretty hard already. I'm checking the data for patch 13.19, and of the legendaries of all units, Aatrox is 3.63 in terms of average placement, which is pretty high up there. In fact, it's like one of the highest. So I guess in terms of the other legendaries, let's see, there's let's not count Rise because he's all over the place, but there's Scion, Heimerdinger, then Aatrox. So he's the third legendary. And then behind him is Gangplank, Belveth, Ahri, and Cassante. So he's actually like slightly above average depending on how you count Rise. So did he really need that much more buffs? Maybe they wanted to make him more fun, but it looks like a buff. Obviously, data doesn't mean everything either, so keep that in mind too. But Gangplank the Dreadway, if Gangplank's ship hasn't yet reached Gangplank, it'll pass through the enemies dealing damage. After reaching Gangplank, or if Gangplank is dead, it'll crash onto the next enemy hit. Gangplank the Dreadway, the boat will now always crash if it hasn't hit an enemy after 2.25 seconds. So I guess that's like a quality of life thing. Gangplank's best cases are already too powerful, but he's too unreliable as a carry. We're reducing the situations where he crashes his ship ineffectively to make his performance and helmsmanship more consistent. All right, makes a lot of sense. Also keep in mind, like, data has a lot of implications. For example, Gangplank might be better if Bilgewater was better, but Bilgewater kind of sucks right now, so that's why Gangplank might be below Aatrox, for example. So just keep that in mind whenever you're looking at data. Heimerdinger, refractor beam, number of beams being changed from 335 to 3. No one's been using this, so they did change it a little bit. They're going to be buffing it a little bit in terms of the damage amp. But as far as I've seen, like, no one really takes this one. Maybe this is enough to invest in it because it goes up from like 30% to 80%. That's pretty decent, right? Augments, we have Adrenaline Rush, Defensive Dash, and Total Domination being buffed. I mentioned this in my augment rundown for early game augments that Total Domination was underperforming, but all the other Noxus augments were doing well, which means that this one just happened to suck at that time. But then someone told me in the comments that it's bugged, but maybe it's just weak, you know, and not actually bugged, because I didn't really hear about the bug, apart from that comment at least, but we'll have to see. Adrenaline Rush, Juggernaut grants a Warwick and a set is being changed to grant a Darius and a set. Oh, that is very nice. Health threshold for bonus damage is being changed from 50 to 60. Binary airdrop no longer grants an item component. Yeah, this one was pretty strong recently. Build Different 2, health is being buffed a bit. Build Different 3, attack speed being buffed. Yeah, Build Different a little weak right now. I think they're around like 4.65, 4.75, somewhere around there. So hopefully they should put them at around like a 4.5. Ideally, I think they should be like a 4.4 or something. Caretaker's Ally now grants 1 copy of the 2 costs immediately. Oh, yeah, it definitely needed that because this is such a high risk, high reward augment. Defensive Dash, Challenger Shield, 75 to 225 is being buffed up a little bit. Oh, and also with this, it's high risk, high reward, but normally it's like bad results. Like, yeah, so it definitely needs some buffs. Gifts of the Fallen, AD and AP per stack being changed from 4 to 3. They nerfed this a lot of times in a row. It's like a 4.3 right now. Yeah, that does seem a little strong. You have to keep in mind, like, going from 4 to 3 is like a huge nerf. Like, I don't know how to balance this while keeping it at a round number. Lucky Gloves, the gloves you get is now being changed from 3 to 2, so they buffed it too much. But again, the difference between 2 gloves and 3 gloves is like astronomical. So it's like, how are you supposed to balance this augment without like adding gold to the equation, right? Is there an elegant way to do it? I guess you could change the way Thieves Gloves RNG works, but yeah, or like the Lucky Gloves combination. They also added Lucky Gloves Plus, added for 3-2 and 4-2, which gives 3 gloves. So in stage 2-1, you only get 2, but in stage 3 and 4, you get 3. Money turns is being changed from 4 to 3. Money, 4 to 3 as well. Pays to learn XP being buffed. And then Perfected Repetition, Multicaster AP per cast being buffed. Okay, pretty decently sized buff for all of these, but Money, money, and money, money, money just aren't that great. It's like you get so little gold overall anyways. I don't think it matters that much. Petricite Shackles Demacia base amp is being changed from 15 to 12. Shurima's Legacy has been permanently disabled. Rest in peace. Probably one of the cooler augments, but it was like way too OP. But they could just lower the numbers, right? I think they should have just kept this in. Tactician's Tools additionally grant 1 component anvil. Total Domination base execute threshold being buffed up by 2%. Vampiric Blades Rogue Omnivamp 20 to 15. All right, and then now for items, Adaptive Helm Frontline bonus 35 armor and MR is being changed to 35 armor and MR, and then gain 1 mana when struck by an attack. Okay, I kind of like that. So they're gonna make it like a mana regen item in total, but like you could place it in the front or the back and it gives different bonuses. Guardbreaker attack speed being nerfed. Guardbreaker is currently our best item due to the sheer amount of stats it grants and the frequency of shields in Runeterra Reforged. All right, yeah, makes sense. We're reducing the attack speed, which has been letting users cast far sooner than even tier-based items like Handed Justice. That I did not know. Yeah, that definitely deserves a nerf then. Small changes, small like my Cho'Gath when I'm contested. Yeah, feels like that's pretty relatable, you know? Region portals, I don't know how to say this. Okay, but the Radiant items for Ixtal, drops now always come with a Reforger. Okay, decently solid. Traits, losing Lysandra in the mid set really hurt Invokers as a vertical, so we're adding a bit more late game power to it. All right, so Invokers, 15 mana to all is being changed to 20 mana to all. Okay, pretty good. Strategist Shield, 250, 400, 575, 850 is being changed to 250, 400, 600, and 900. So Strategist 4 and 5 are being buffed up a bit. Strategist AP bonus also has the same buffs at the same levels. Void Rift Herald charge speed has been increased. Rift Herald will now try to find a new target if her original target dies during her windup. Tier 1, Cassiopeia, Twin Fang damage, slight nerfs, actually pretty sizable. It's at 2-star. They also changed Malzahar. So in Cho'Gath, maybe Malzahar is better than Cassiopeia now. Malefic Visions is now less likely to miss against moving targets. Bug Fix Jin's Curtain Call damage drop-off is no longer higher than intended. Damage drop-off is now 40% to 56%. Milio Max Mana buff is being buffed again. I had a really fun game with Milio. This was like 2 patches ago, I think, where Milio was like the worst 3-star unit in the game, but we actually won it, which was pretty cool. But then they buffed Milio last patch and now again. So maybe Milio is actually viable now. Maybe even with the Invoker buff too. Units tier 2, Soraka Astral Infusion healing AP ratio is being nerfed a little bit. Yeah, there was like a Soraka Nico build that was pretty decent. I guess they're not fans of like Soraka carry or something like that. Twisted Fate starting mana buff is being changed from 20 out of 70 to 25 out of 75. That's actually a nerf, right? Twisted Fate stack decked initial magic damage is being nerfed a little bit across the board. And then Twisted Fate stack deck ability AoE delay is being reduced a little bit. So they're ideally making him feel better to play and also better to accommodate the multicaster rework. Okay. Alongside a smaller AP ratio buff, fixed the fizzle with Karma spell that previously had her seeking the occasional karmic retribution from those who've already kicked the bucket. Inner Flame damage is being buffed up a tiny bit, and the bug fix, if Karma's target dies immediately as she begins her cast, she will pick a new target to cast on. Nico Pop Blossom Shield is going to be nerfed as well, so they did not like the Nico comp at all with the Soraka, so interesting changes there. Tier 4, finally, Xayah, max mana nerf, 30 out of 95 to 20 out of 100. Xayah Feather Strike damage ratio is also being nerfed at 3-star Xayah, so this doesn't actually change anything. This is the only real change. So at first it is, what is this? 95 minus 30. That's going to be 65 mana. This is going to be changed to 80 mana, so pretty delayed first cast. But then the second cast is going to be delayed by 5 mana. Not the end of the world in most cases. Mainly the first cast that was like really, really powerful. So looking at Xayah, 4.27, but it has almost a 2 play rate, which means that 2 out of 8 players normally go for Xayah. So if only 1 player went for it, it'd probably be like a 4.0 or something, which is like really high, right? I know that they nerfed the traits a little bit. I know that I think they nerfed set a little bit too, right? But these are like 4 small nerfs. Is that enough? Because if the play rate goes down, the average placement goes up, right? So if less people are going for it, the unit gets better. But if they're nerfing it, then the unit gets worse. So is it going to be still very strong? I think it is still going to be very strong. Is it going to be like S+ tier? Maybe not, but definitely still S tier if I had to guess right now. Because all these nerfs are like pretty minor, so I don't think it's going to change that much. Units tier 5, Shadow Owl's Rise. If Aatrox dies while marked, he will revive immediately without passing along the Darkened Blade. Shadow Owl's Rise will no longer mark allies holding Aatrox's blade. All right, augments. Binary augments and endless hordes are now mutually exclusive. Okay, yeah, that's good. I didn't know they could be offered together. That's like the worst thing ever. Item grab bag, 3 gold is being changed from 2 to 4. Let's actually check the data on the grab bags really quickly because they nerfed it a lot last patch and people were complaining about it. So we have all the bags here. It's like 4.6, 4.6, 4.52, 4.9. You know, honestly, I thought it'd be worse. I thought there'd be more 5s here, but it doesn't seem like that. So I guess we overreacted a little bit, but like still, they're like pretty bad, right? I guess they want them to be bad, but like if it's like a 4.6, 4.65, fine. But if it's like 4.99, because like technically I said there are no 5s, but like we have a 4.99 here, we have a 4.9 there. It's like, come on, like it's pretty much a 5, you know? It is what it is. Like I'm not picking that augment anyways. Thieves Gloves no longer roll duplicate items. All right, pretty good. Radiant items, Dragon's Will max health regen rate is being changed a little bit. Will Breaker attack speed is being nerfed a bit. Jack Show, the Protean frontline bonus is being like adjusted for the adaptive helm stuff. Titan's Vow attack speed is going to be buffed up a little bit. Titan's Vow armor also buffed up a little bit too. Now onto support items. Aegis buff duration 8 to 12 seconds. Oh, that's pretty good. That's the shield one, right? Banshee's Veil now grants 15% attack speed for the duration of CC immunity. Chalice of Power, ability power being buffed up a little bit. So they're just stat checking all the support items right now. Radiant Virtue max health being reduced. Radiant Virtue amplified heal also reduced. Zeke's Herald attack speed being buffed up a little bit. Zezerod Portal taunt range adjusted to better match the attack range of the taunted champion. And the Void Spawn will now try to spawn in the front row when possible. All right. Some bug fixes here. You know what I just realized? Did they skip Ashe? Yeah, they said they would nerf Ashe at the start, but yeah, okay. Interesting. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe they forgot about it. Aoshin's health bar no longer blocks face during their point animation. Fix an issue where Gangplank's cast could fail if his target dies right as he casts. If you see more cases of a ship not appearing, please let us know. Karma always catches up to you if Karma's... Okay, they already did that one. Fix a bug. Okay, did that one. Combat Blaster. Aatrox no longer gains Combat Caster's shield on every swing. Oh my god, that's absolutely nuts. Plussing up the name Portable Forge, now properly named Portable Forge Plus when offered on 3.2 and Portable Forge Plus Plus on 4.2. It's nothing personal. Freak, you can no longer be offered both Freaky Friday and Freaky Friday Plus in Hyperroll. Oh, that actually sounds pretty cool. Rising Infamy now requires the correct number of barrages for your first chest upgrade. Healing Orbs now works correctly when a Bilgewater Cannon barrage kills a unit. It's about time. Yeah, just like this patch, right? But I'm afraid the Xayah nerfs were not enough. Units that spawn in overtime via Aatrox, Shadow Owl Rise, etc. now correctively received the overtime buff. Fix an uncommon issue causing Heimerdinger's grenade to fizzle. Target dummies now give nightmares. Oh my god. Okay. Target dummies from Wandering Trainer holding a rogue emblem will now jump to the enemy backline when the rogue effect trick. That is awesome. Fix a bug that could cause Echo's heal to be slightly off. Fix a bug that could cause Heimerdinger to temporarily lose turret upgrades when started up. Oh my god. I would literally like smack my computer screen or something like that. Just kidding. I won't. Because that would not be a smart thing to do. Fix the bug where Karma's Ionia bonus wasn't correct with 6 and 9 Ionia. Fix the bug causing Mordekaiser, Kale, and Orianna spell damage to crit less often than intended with spell crit. Godwillow's Grove no longer returns unsellable, uncombinable champions to the pool. Didn't double up. And then Gargantuan Resolve now grants the correct resists at the correct times. Is this a nerf? Because Gargantuan Resolve was very strong recently, but was it good because it was bugged? Some people were trying to like justify it to me with words, even though in previous patches Gargantuan Resolve was like not that great. It might have just been bugged. 2 ready, battle ready damage amp now stacks properly with other sources of damage amp, and it no longer reduces damage taken. Next up we have is 2 hot, 3 stack Mechanoswarm now burns for 2% instead of 3% as intended. Oh, by the way, this is for true damage only because nothing can reduce true damage. So going back to the top. Is it enough for Xayah? I don't think so. Hey, this is Bunny Muffin's post-editing. We have a quick update. So like, a multicaster is completely bonkers after the rework. Look at this. 3.59 and 1.79 play rate. This is even better than Xayah from last patch. Like, holy cow. I'm guessing there's going to be a B patch, so we'll have to look out for that. But tier list is going to be updated Friday or whenever the B patch hits, whichever comes first. Is the stuff that they buffed up going to be great? It might be an Azir patch because like... Strategist got pumped up quite a bit. Let's look at the Shurima changes again. Shurima was what, down here? Ascension bonus is being buffed up a little bit, so at like 4 and up, Shurima gonna be pretty solid. Yeah, not bad, not bad. So maybe it's an Azir patch, Azir and Xayah, if I had to guess at least, you know? Because all the other stuff, they're like nothing crazy. Like Bilgewater, it's probably gonna be like, if you get a good Bilgewater game, you could go for it. It'd probably be in a good spot, I'd think. Like not OP, not horrible. Cho'Gath, I don't think actually changed that much. Cassiopeia did get nerfed a bunch, but you could just use like Malzahar or like still use Cassiopeia. Like Cho'Gath was the real beast anyways, right? So I don't think, like there are a lot of things I see in this picture, but I don't think the game's gonna change like that much now that I look at it. But I thought it would be bigger. But overall, we will be updating the meta snapshot anyways on Friday. So on bunnymuffins.lol, my website. So go check that out on Friday when you get a chance. But yeah, like I don't think this is going to change that much. Let me know your thoughts down below, though. Maybe I'm completely wrong, in which case I will admit it, obviously. But we'll have to see. You know, we'll give it a couple of days. But that's going to be it from me today. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.